what it's like as a black woman with an afro in Turkey. How cute!
Thank you.
Sudan?
Why Sudan though?
No, Ghana.
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 Do you know that parents literally force their kids to take photos with you for the family album? I agreed to take a photo and ended up taking with the entire neighborhood.
Yeah? Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's one of those moments that sorry, no.
Felt so bad though, but this lady made my day. So many secret, not so secret photos. I didn't feel too good today, so I went back home. A day as a black woman in Manila, Philippines. These ladies asked me for a photo, but soon I had the whole park waiting for one. Was getting a little awkward, so I left. People just kept staring at me, but some were really nice. Wanted to go see this old cathedral, but I saw there was a wedding.
Take a picture. Yes, only.
I was starting to feel bad for distracting the wedding, so I left. Someone tell me why this little kid was so scared of me. But regardless, it was a great day. A day as a black woman in Istanbul, Turkey. There was a whole group waiting to take pictures with me.
Can I sense your hair?
Oh, I don't like when people touch my hair.
More pictures. Everyone was so nice to me.
I
Really felt like a celebrity. They must have taken over 100 photos.
Where from?
Ghana girl. More photos. I had a whole crowd line up to take photos. I was starting to feel awkward. They started arguing over who's next, so I just run away home. Regardless, was a great day. Bye.
honestly speaking, I really don't mind taking pictures with people and their pets and their babies and their kids. I'm okay with that. I just draw the line, when they ask to touch my hair like this.
Can I sense your hair?
Oh, I don't like when people touch
okay.
my hair. And like this.
Thank you. I'm actually okay. It's so beautiful. Thank you.
And like this. Can you? No touching.
Original?
Yes, it's mine. So probably I would say this is what it gets tiring to do with, but besides that, it's okay.
You guys just saw those two TikTok videos where they actually went viral on Twitter, and they actually went viral everywhere, honestly. Particularly the video of the woman in Turkey. That video definitely went super viral, and I saw a few people on YouTube do some commentary on this as well. And I thought it was a very interesting situation. I thought that the response to this video was very interesting as well, so I decided to do some commentary on it and give my little 2 cents. So let's get into it. And I've actually done a few videos responding to the reactions that some people within the Black community gave to viral situations of Black women either being proposed to by non-Black men, or non-Black people calling that woman beautiful, or whatever the case may be. I've done a couple of different situations, and it really just be the hateration for me. And I feel like what could be taken from those situations is a good lesson and observation for Black women to see why we really should expand our horizons past where we are at those moments, if you get my drift. So, and I'm talking about traveling, I'm talking about having experiences with other groups of people, experiencing other cultures, experiencing how other groups of people engage and perceive your Blackness, and you'll see that it's really not as negative, and the world really doesn't view us as in a bleak way as it is in America, because America's a very hyper racialized society, and Black people have a certain history in this country, and not to mention we have to do with the crabs in a barrel mentality and the misery loves company mentality within the Black community. So we have to deal with a lot, and I feel like traveling and seeing the world and seeing how other people perceive stuff and how other cultures operate, and just seeing the world in general, just leaving America, just having those experiences, just seeing other things, I think that that's really important, because I think that it's really interesting how from all of these situations, all they can do is find some negativity to come from the situation. It's like they will try to find any old way to make a situation involving a Black woman and non-Black people negative, and it just really comes off as some fear tactic shit to me, because I don't understand why you have to do all this reaching just to make something negative, and when it's really not. And I feel like in this country we're supposed to be moving past race and racism and trying to grow with each other and be a more integrated, a more loving society. And people could say all day like, oh, that's not realistic, or I'm being on some kumbaya shit, but I feel like shouldn't that be the goal? So I don't understand why, like, when we do see stuff that is progressive in terms of race relations, whether it be like the first Black person representing a role, or if you see an interracial couple or whatever on TV, like, I don't understand why there's still so much negativity surrounding it. And it's usually when it's surrounding a Black woman and a white man, I've noticed. People, specifically the Black community, wants to like associate all this negativity around it, and I think that's really silly. And I feel like that is just comes from America being a very racialized, hyper racist, and honestly misogynistic society. And because it's been so segregated, and because we have the concept of race in this country that we have, shit just be such a big deal for no reason. And a lot of that stuff is self-inflicted by the community. Like, they'll try to make it seem like yeah, okay, with Halle Berry playing the Little Mermaid, yes, a lot of white people dragging her and being racist, and I'm not denying that America's a racist country, but I also think race relations have improved, not only in the last 40 years, but in the last 10 years, last 5 years. Like, stuff is getting better, so I don't understand why we have to act like it's all doom and gloom. Shit is getting better, but it's a lot of people in America still in that very hyper racial society. And I feel like when they see videos like that, that's why like this, where you have the Turkish people thinking this Black woman is so beautiful. Mind you, this woman is not even African American. I think she's Nigerian or Ghanaian, so she's African. But my point is that from the American perspective of how they're viewing that interaction, they're making it all about negativity, and they're racializing the whole situation, when a lot of those Turkish people probably don't even see themselves as white. They might not see themselves as they definitely don't see themselves as Black, but they might not see themselves as people of no color. You know what I mean? So I just think it's really interesting that how, as American people, they saw that that video and those interactions, and they immediately associate negativity with it. And that's why I feel like Black women should just really travel and really have other experiences, and we'll really see, like, that the world is not defined by American standards and whatever, all the stuff we have to deal with, and the social climate in America. That's not how the whole world is. And I'm not saying that it's not racism, or in other places it's not colorism and things like that, but I feel like, I'm gonna just be honest with you, like, let's just be real here. The Black community really does operate like a cult on some shit like, oh, nobody will love you, so you might as well stay here and get abused by us. Like, that's literally how they act. And you literally hear Black women saying that verbatim. I just came across a video. I won't say who the content creator is, but a lot of women say this, so it's not even, doesn't even matter who she is. But she said something along the lines of, oh, well, historically no other group of men has treated us better, so why don't we just stay dating Black men only? Why even expand your options? Because nobody else is going to treat you better, so you might as well stay with us. And if you notice, that's always in a tactic Black men use to deter Black women from expanding their options, if you notice that. And that is a cult-like manipulative tactic. That is an abuse tactic. Like, oh, nobody's gonna treat you better, so you need to sit here and let me abuse you. And yeah, like, I feel like that's really how the Black community operates. So there's like a lot of deterrence from trying to deter Black women from traveling, from leaving the environment and their neighborhood that they're from. And it just really always reeks of just some misery loves company shit to me, because it's like, and I've seen this in real life, like, where you have 20-year-old Black women, or women in our early 20s who have money, who have all of these opportunities to travel because of school, and because because of work as well. Like, Black women are getting access to a lot of opportunities to be in different spaces and different communities. And you see a lot of people within the Black community being on some crabs in a bucket shit, and being on some crabs in a barrel mentality shit, and trying to deter Black women from taking these opportunities, trying to say, oh, those white folks are going to treat you some type of way, so you shouldn't go. Just using all of these very out of date, old fashioned ways of thinking, just to stay stagnant and in the same place. And so I think that when Black women see videos like this should encourage you to feel like, yo, I want to travel, I want to go to other places, I want to see the rest of the world, because America is very segregated, and it is very black and white still. Like, yeah, we do have a lot of immigrants, but in most states in America, it is still very segregated. So a lot of Black people are just live around other Black people, or they might live around other white people, but they really, it's still very segregated. So there might not be a situation where you're gonna meet Turkish people, where you're gonna meet Filipino people, where you're gonna be able to have a conversation with them. You might not be in those spaces, in places in America, because of how segregated and racial it is. But when you travel, you get to interact with other people. You get to see how they view you and how they handle you as a Black woman, and get to see that the world really isn't as hateful of Black women as they make it seem like in America. And I think America does that shit on purpose, and I think that's why a lot of people in the Black community like have that mentality, and that like, oh, we gotta just stay together type shit, because that's the idea America puts out there, that all people who are not Black are against Black people. And I don't really think that that's true. And I don't think that and I know for a fact that other countries are not so black and white, clear, segregated in the way America is. So here on YouTube, and as well as Instagram and TikTok as well, I believe the woman who posted the video I played in the beginning, she's primarily on TikTok, and I also follow her on Instagram as well, and I'll link her social media profiles in the description box below. I know I always say I'm gonna do that and I forget sometimes, but I'm gonna really try to remember this time. But anyway, there are a lot of Black women traveling platforms on social media, and I'm just really happy to see that, because I feel like that's just a really fulfilling experience for and Black people in general should travel. Unfortunately, culturally, we don't travel enough. I think we should start traveling with our children more, taking our children to other countries. We should really and not just European countries either, take them to other countries to see people of color, to experience other people of color's culture, to see dark Asians, to experience African culture, and all of these rich experiences, and not just take them to the Coliseum or see the Eiffel Tower. Like, travel is really important, and I feel like that can make all the difference on a Black child self-esteem, and even on a adult Black woman self-esteem. I haven't left the country as an adult, but I just I've talked to people who travel consistently and who are from other countries, and they do talk about how different the experience of being a black woman and a black in America as opposed to it is in other countries. Even the difference how it is in being an American black person in the Caribbean, in Latin America. That's a very different experience than being a black person here in America. I mean, just by virtue of your Americanness will always give you kind of a leg up in other countries. But if you go to other black countries, for example, even they will look at you differently just because you're an American. So I think that those are experiences that a lot of black women should have, and I think that could be really beneficial. And I'm glad to see a lot of millennial and Gen Z women like really traveling and, living our best lives, child free, globetrotting, doing what we want, living lavish mimosas in Greece and in the Philippines and shit, and getting served breakfast by elephants in Indonesia. Like, I see black women really living it up out here. The woman that posted this video in Philippines, like, I'm just so happy to be living vicariously through these women, and they're definitely inspiring me to travel. I will be traveling internationally and through America, soon myself. I'm just, going, through the motions and stuff, but that's definitely something I want to do, and I really want to encourage other black women to do that as well. And I think that's great, and I just think that it's great that we have so many platforms out today to see black women traveling, to see see how that is realistic and to not be scared. And because I do think that there can be a little anxiety there in traveling and going to new places, especially based on the messages we have gotten about how we will be treated as black women by non-black people. And so I think that it's really important to have these platforms so that young black women and girls can see that traveling is a realistic thing. Because before, we would have travel channels with primarily like white European men, like, and that's cool and all, but as a black girl it might be hard to visualize yourself doing that same thing, and traveling and going on hikes and going to the savannah and eating these crazy exotic foods and stuff like that. Like, black women and girls need to see that that's something realistic for them to do as well. And so that's another reason why I'm talking on this topic, because it just shows you how bad the crabs in the barrel, how bad the crabs in a bucket mentality in the black community is, because they can't even be happy for this woman in Turkey and that she's having these experiences and enjoying herself. She did not say, oh, I felt uncomfortable, oh, I felt fetishized, oh, I felt this and that. And even when that Turkish woman was trying to touch her hair, she stood up for herself, held her ground, and said, no, don't touch my hair. She seemed like, you could tell she's comfortable around non-black people and with other cultures and stuff like that. And so to see the people in that comment section, just hating on her and talking about they're treating her like an animal in the zoo, and just associating all of these very racialized American-esque mindsets of how those interactions went was really interesting to me. And it makes black women and girls, when you see that, it makes you feel discouraged and feel like, oh, well, maybe if that's how they think about me, maybe I shouldn't go. But it's like, you cannot listen to people who are just sitting in their flyover state house somewhere in America, who probably ain't never traveled. The only place they probably been to is Miami, but they sitting up here trying to tell you that you're going to get fetishized and taken advantage of if you go to this other country. And it's like, how would you know? And I'm not saying that trying to shun other black people, but let's be honest here. Most black people in America have not traveled and do not travel. Like I just said, that culturally we're not really into traveling like that. And that's something that has to change. And I think that could really benefit black women and girls and black children in general's self-esteem and their view and mindset of the world and their placement in the world as a black child. When you take them anywhere, you take them in other places. If you just been in Indiana and been in America your whole life and you don't know any different, you're gonna think that you're limited to what you know about your identity as a black American, which you should empower yourself. You shouldn't need outside validation to feel proud and to feel confident in yourself. But at the same time, let's be real, that is what's going on. But if you take your kid to Nigeria, if your kid has been to the Philippines and to India and to South Africa before they're even 16, think about how much of an impact that is on a black child's psyche and their opinion on the world, and how they're going to come back and move as a black person in America. So now I want to switch gears and talk about the fetishization hypocrisy elements of this video. And I don't know why that word fetishization, I think the word is, I don't know why that's so hard for me to say. Like, maybe because of my tongue drill, I don't know, but it's very hard for me to say fetishization. Like, it's just weird. But anyway, because I knew that this video had went viral, and I know that, you know, the internet community, let's just say that, the internet collective, yeah, let me say that, the internet black collective, that's what I'm gonna start calling them. The internet black collective. So I know that the internet black collective was really triggered by this video, so I was interested to see what the comments would look like in a page that is devoted to uplifting you know, the beauty of specifically dark-skinned black women, and you know, what will be the response coming from, you know, black people viewing what the response to this woman was from Turkish people. So I was really interested to know. And so, and I had a feeling that this was going to be the reaction, but I was still interested, you know, to know and to see what, you know, people were saying. And there was a number of different things that annoyed me about the comments that I saw. And just because I don't understand why there always has to be a whole bunch of negativity surrounding everything. Like, and I mentioned that in the beginning of this video. Like, it just shows me how, like, much, like, the so-called black community like really just be hating on black women for no reason. And it's really frustrating to see, because it's like they always have to take negativity from everything when it wasn't even from that. It's like, you can't have it both ways. You can't talk about non-black people trying to, you know, swagger jack us and, you know, trying to look like us, but, you know, not uplifting our features. And then when you see non-black people actually showing love and uplifting our features or how we look, and this girl said she felt like a celebrity and that's how they were treating her. They were literally treating her like a celebrity. Meanwhile, black people in America always talk about how badly we're treated, you know, how they feel like, because I don't feel like we're treated that horribly in 2021. Like, I mean 2022. Like, I really don't. We're not treated. We don't have any non-rights that anybody else don't have. Like, I just don't think it's the same situation. They still act like we're in like the Jim Crow South or something. But anyway, they talk about how negatively we're treated in America, but you see these international non-black people, you know, treating this girl like a celebrity, and it's like they find all these negative, you know, things to take from it. And it's like, it just shows me a whole bunch of hateration. And one thing I noticed that's particularly interesting was that a lot of the comments that were the most triggered and pressed were coming from black males. And that doesn't surprise me, because we know how insecure they start feeling whenever they see non-black men complimenting black women, especially dark-skinned black women. Let's be real, they get triggered when they do that to light-skinned and mixed women. But for some reason, dark-skinned black, and it's not even just dark-skinned black men, it's really black men in general, but we know dark-skinned black men are the most vocal. But in this comment section, it seems to me like a lot of like brown-skinned and dark-skinned men, like a lot of people seem to be African on this page too, so we can assume most of them are brown-skinned and dark-skinned. But I feel like they always trying to keep their female counterpart, brown-skinned and dark-skinned women, I always feel like they're always trying to beat their self-esteem down and make them feel low. Like, with light-skinned women, they just kind of try to pressure you into, like, you know, they kind of pressure you into it. As where with dark-skinned and brown-skinned women, it seems like they just want to always, like, say something negative to them, or always want them to, like, to be, like, if they feel like they're getting too much attention, they always want to bring them down a notch, or they always want to rain on their parade. That's what I've always noticed. And then they only praise or uplift light-skinned women in order to triangulate us against dark-skinned and brown-skinned women, and to make them feel some type of way. So it's like, either way, like, the behavior is manipulative. Like, no, you're just feeling some type of way because you're seeing Turkish people praising this woman, and you're just feeling salty. Like, instead of clapping for the women in your community and being like, yeah, our women are beautiful and they're exotic and they got all these different, you know, flavors, and they look all types of ways, and they can cook, and they got fat asses. Well, they do say that, but not in a positive way. Like, you know, they don't say we have nice bodies. They say it in a weird fetishization, animalistic way is how they talk about us. So it's like, they don't even hype us up. Whenever they don't hype us up on their own or show any love to us on their own, but then when they see other people do it, especially other groups of men that are not black, then they feel some type of way, and they're trying to come and rain on everybody's parade, and, you know, make a scene about it, and being pressed and triggered. But when it's them, everybody's supposed to clap and be like, yeah, she went to BBC. Like, no, like, no, keep the same energy. So that just shows me y'all are just being on some hateration shit towards black women. And I didn't even notice that a lot of the people in that comment section were black men. And then you have the typical fetishization comments, quote unquote. And I'm real sick of people using that word out of context and incorrectly just to push a narrative or some type of point that they want to make. So let's go over the definition of fetishization. So fetishize is a verb, and the definition of fetishize is make something the object of a sexual fetish. And you would use that in a sentence like, a woman's bodies are so intensely fetishized. Or the word can be described as having an excessive and irrational commitment to or obsession with something. Let's really have a real conversation about fetishization, because it's really giving the pot calling the kettle black. Because black men need to be the last people talking about somebody fetishizing black women, because per this definition and per using the word fetishization correctly and not out of context and incorrectly like they do in order to push their narratives, per the definition of fetishization, no fetishization happened in that video, but black men heavily fetishize black women and black women's bodies per this definition. Notice how they never point that out though, and how even black women will defend the way black men fetishize black women, but simply hear a white man say, oh yeah, I like chocolate, or I like kinky hair, something, and then these men was like, oh, he's fantasizing me. That's what I'm talking about. It's like they're using the word out of context, but you'll sit up there and listen to some booty bounce music where the niggas saying, yeah, pop that pussy, da, 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 and all this type of stuff, and that's not fetishization. It's like, and I'm not even saying to don't enjoy that music, or that shaking ass is a problem. I'm not even saying that, but it's like, stop with the hypocrisy. And I feel like black people be on a lot of hypocrisy with this shit. Like, please do not try to tell black women that somebody wanting to take a picture with them is fetishization, but us constantly praising strip club culture and constantly seeing videos of people encouraging little black girls to twerk and all types of sexual stuff, to say that that's not fetishization either, because it definitely is. So it's like, you keep the same energy. It's like, don't use that when you want to and then try to excuse other behaviors just because you're trying to push a narrative. It's like, no, don't use the word at all, then use it correctly, or don't use it at all, like, period. And don't come to these spaces trying to rain on black women's parade because you feel some type of way about whatever, and using words incorrectly because you trying to continue to yoke black women into your spell of lies and manipulation. It's like, it's not gonna work. We see what's going on. The jig is up, and people like me are exposing you. Like, you're being exposed right now. Because let's really talk about the real people that have been fetishizing black women for fucking ever. Like, because it's like they will really reach back to Sarah Bartman, and that was a horrible situation that I will talk about one day, and that fetishization was horrible. And yes, white men do have a history in that time period. That was the fucking 17th century. Yeah, at that time that was going on. This is not the 17th century. Let's talk about what's going on today in the 21st century. In the 21st century, the people who are causing the most harm to black women's image and fetishizing us the most is black men. So don't try to play the mind games with me, because that's not about to work. Because if you got to reach back to the 1700s to talk about white people fetishizing black women, but you fetishizing black women today on TikTok, like, you're really not in a position to. No, that's what I'm saying. The pot calling the kettle black. You're not in a position to talk at all. And then they're also saying, oh, they're treating her like an animal in the zoo. Like, what? How derogatory is that? And it's like, what are you seeing that I'm not seeing? Like, I don't understand why they're so triggered and pressed about this video, and how they're bringing these racialized situations and scenarios from that video. Like, the only thing that I saw that irritated me was the whole white woman touching her hair thing. That was the only thing. But other than that, like, it was just like, I thought it was, when I first saw the video, my first reaction to it was, I felt like the shit. I'm like, oh shit, if I went there, I would be a celebrity. Look at how they treated her like royalty, like a celebrity, just by virtue of who she is. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's a powerful thing to see, honestly. Like, even in a TikTok, because we do get a certain image of ourselves and of how people view us in America, and especially all the damage black men do to our self-esteem just on a daily, just that alone, then dealing with non-black media and non-black people and interactions. Those are that's just because America's just a highly racialized society and very difficult on black women. So to see a video like this is really interesting to me, and to hear like even my cousin's experience and my teacher's experiences in Asia, like that was really interesting to me. And it was a lot like this girl's experience in Thailand. And even in Thailand, I think it was the Philippines, I'm sorry, she was in the Philippines. Even you saw how the Filipino people reacted to her. Like, they saw her, right? They stopped and took a picture with her during a wedding. Like, she had to leave because she felt like she was causing too much attention to herself. You know, like, and that's really why black males got in the comment section and were really triggered and mad, because they know that's powerful too. So I just find it very irritating that these people were saying that they were fetishizing her and treating her like an animal in the zoo, and, you know, just saying all this derogatory shit when they literally were treating her like a celebrity. So by your logic, people also were acting like that towards Michael Jackson, towards Nicki Minaj, towards all these celebrities, towards Beyonce, all these celebrities who get all this attention when they come around because of, by virtue of who they are. You're basically making the same logic. So those people were being fetishized too. Like, no, people are just trying to take a picture. Like, you're usually just literally just using the word out of context just to get an emotional response out of people. Like, I thought it was so distasteful and ignorant for them to say that they're treating her like an animal in the zoo. Like, that really should show you how little other black women think of other black women. Because I saw 2 black women make that comment. Like, I don't know how you could say that. Like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me right now? Like, who's trying to take pictures side by side with animals in the zoo? Like, who's treating animals in the zoo like a celebrity? Like, I just don't understand that. They were literally treating her like a celebrity, and they're just trying to look for ways to make other black women feel uncomfortable with getting praised by non-black men. That's how non-black men, yeah, but non-black people in general, because I noticed they do that same thing with non-black women. Like, literally, I've experienced this in person. Like, you have like a Mexican girl, a white girl compliment your hair or something, and then you might have some black girls that be like, oh, she just be saying that because she probably low-key thinks something about your hair, but she just saying that because she's trying to get, you know, she trying to be shady. Like, they always think they trying to be shady. They always think that there's some like malicious intent to why non-black people are praising them and calling them beautiful. It's like, she really is beautiful though. Like, even if this woman was walking in the streets of New York City, she would still get attention. Even if she was walking, no matter where this woman goes in the world, she's gonna get attention because she's a beautiful woman. It just is what it is. It wouldn't matter her race. She's a beautiful woman. She's gonna get attention, especially with that beautiful hair. Like, she's gonna get attention. So it's like they just want to they want you to feel bad about the attention you're getting, and like, they do that in a lot of different aspects. Like, let's say you dress nice. Like, I used to really like to dress up nice to go to school. You know, I put a lot of thought in my outfits. I would do my makeup. You know, I like. That's just how I am. And I will always have people being like, oh, why are you getting all prepped up? Where you going? It's not even that deep, da 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 da. Like, it's like they always trying to just like kind of talk you down from being confident or wanting to present yourself a certain way, or like, you know, not wanting to impress people, but like getting attention. They always trying to make it seem negative. But if they getting attention, then they're like, yeah, I'm not bitch, da 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 da. Like, if that attention is coming from a black man, then it's like they think it's great and everything like that, no matter what type of attention it is, even if the dude is being respectful. But a non-black person can't even compliment like, oh, I love your lips or I love your hair, without some black women feeling like they're trying to be malicious about it. And I don't understand that. It's like, you can't in one breath say, oh, they never praise our features and they never give us credit for how beautiful we are, but then when people do it, that's a problem. It's like, everything's a problem. If they don't do it, it's a problem, but if they do it, it's a problem too, because then they're fetishizing. It's like, which one is it? And per the definition, that's not what fetishization is. These songs talking about booty bouncing and strip club anthems and all that type of stuff, the praising of like basically sex work, you know, and that type of stuff. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with sex work or that we should demonize it. I'm just saying, like, black women are heavily fetishized in the black community, and we're also only portrayed as being good for sex, and we're only portrayed as sexual objects. Very rarely are black women given the opportunity to be multi-dimensional creatures in real life and in the media. Because even like, if you're too emotional or you're not as emotionally strong, you can't handle certain stuff, like, that's looked at as a negative thing in the black community. Or if you like to look pretty and you like, you know, looking preppy and not always having to be ready to fight all the time, and, you know, having to, you know, play down your beauty, or like, you know, having to not wear makeup because you got to worry about some jealous bitches trying to cut your face or trying to steal from you because they think they have money. Like, when you're not in the mindset of struggle and survival, like, it seems to really trigger some of them, and that's just a problem. And it's like, that whole comment section, it just felt to me like they were just trying to rain on her parade and, you know, just bring her down a few notches, because they're like, no, we can't have you too gassed up. We can't have you too confident. We can't have you feeling yourself that much. We can't have you feeling like there's more past what we're providing to you. There's more past what this so-called community has to offer for you. We can't have you feeling like you could get a better treatment and better praise and actually be respected in another community. We want you to stay here with us and let us abuse you, because anybody's gonna abuse you, so you might as well let us do it. Like, that's how it feels to me when the whole fetishization thing comes up, because very rarely, and I have seen a few TikToks of guys doing stuff that would be considered fetishization of black women. Okay, yeah, that's true. Two here and there. Okay, cool. How many videos are there, rap videos of black men having black women shaking their ass in thongs and scantily clad clothes? Like, black men literally portray black women as sex objects constantly, and if there is ever a love interest, she's either extremely ambiguous or she's not even black. But when it's time to have to have ass shaking in their videos and strippers and all this ratchet shit, then they find dark-skinned black women, then they find phenotypical black women. Or when it's time to have some struggle porn movie, then they could find black women, but any other time their love interest is light, bright, and white. Like, it's just like, and even as light-skinned black women, it's the same thing too. They will have kids with light-skinned black women. They will, fuck on you and have you be their girlfriend and, all this type of stuff, and have, kids with you because they think that for some reason you're going to give them more ambiguous children, even if you're black too. They will do all that bullshit. But it's like, they portray them the same way though. Like, if they do have black women in their videos shaking ass, they usually now are light skinned. It's like, that's not positive promotion. That's still making black women, look some type of way. It's like, even in female rap, like I talked about that in my sex sales video, like, people aren't breaking us up by skin tone, like, oh, well, they only got light-skinned women in their videos, so that's just, light-skinned women are the easy ones. No, it's not like that. They just look at us all as just black women being scantily clad in videos. Like, and it's like, I don't even have a problem with, like, strip culture, like, anything like that. I'm not saying that. I'm not a prude. I'm just being honest. Like, black culture heavily fetishizes black women. So I get real irritated with them always trying to throw that word around whenever they see black women getting an equal of attention from other groups of people. It's like very irritating and just reeks of misery loves company. Like, that's just the vibe it gives me. And if you haven't watched my sex sales video, I definitely recommend you do so. It's a great, transition from this video. I talk about some of the same type of things in terms of fetishization. And one of the things I touch on is, like, the most popular black women celebrities amongst the black community and amongst the world in general are, Nicki Minaj, Rihanna, Beyonce, who are both, women who they show off their bodies, they talk very sexual in their music, they're very sexually free, sexually liberated, you know what I mean? And some people could argue that a lot of things that Nicki Minaj has done gives fetishization type of vibes. Okay, but she's not necessarily catering to the black community, but black hip-hop culture is black culture. So I'm just saying the point is that black women have to kind of be, it seems to me, to get any type of attention, it seems like, and I'm not saying that this goes for everybody, but it seems like the only type of black women they give attention to are black women that portray themselves in a very hypersexual and sexualized way. You don't really see them paying attention to black women celebrities and rappers and singers that are not scantily clad, that don't rap about they pussy, that don't rap about, being in the club and that type of stuff that they always are complaining about and talking about how it's evil for women and women are getting corrupted today. Meanwhile, that's the type of culture and the type of artists they praise and that they most respond to, but then they want to bash these women as well and say that they're putting out a bad image of black women. It's like, you can't have it both ways, because at the end of the day, artists are going to put out what's going to sell, like, or they're gonna shift to what the public opinion is, what the public mood is. Like, you notice there's not that many singers like Erykah Badu out anymore. Like, people don't really mainstreamly don't respond to those artists in the same way. So I don't think that it's fair that, black people are always trying to shame black women's, sexuality and shame us into, feeling low about ourselves and, making us feel some type of way if we're a little too free, if you catch my drift, with our sexuality, or even just adventurous just with our life, like this woman that, travels. I've noticed, You cannot have it both ways. You cannot say, oh, I'm tired of hearing female rappers rapping about sex and rapping about their pussy and whatnot, but that's the music y'all respond to. That's the music y'all eat up. That's the music you buy the most. Those are the images. Black women, with our booties out and, in scantily clad outfits and looking with the Fashion Nova body. Those types of black women are the black women that get the most attention, at least on social media and in the media, and from the black community. So it's like, it's not fair to then say, oh, I'm tired of seeing women like that. I'm tired of seeing fake bodies. I'm tired of seeing fake boobs and fake butts and stuff like that. I'm tired of hearing women talk about their coochie. But that's the cultural climate that has been set. But black women are aware on a conscious and subconscious level that you have to a degree be over sexualized and just be over the top, really, to get attention in the black community and from black men. Because let's be real, that's the type of imagery of black women that black men respond to. That's why I'm saying they could really miss me with the fetishization bullshit and trying to use fear tactics and, trying to shame black women by saying non-black men are going to fetishize us. You need to be the last fucking people talking, because you got to be delusional if you really saying that, because the main people who's fetishizing us, and really the only people who's fetishizing us on a large scale, is you. So what are you talking about? Like, black men only respond to hypersexual images of black women, what they call being quote unquote masculine or hard or ghetto, what they will consider. They respond to those types of images. They respond to ass pictures and Instagram models that got their boobs out. They're the ones that are following them. Like, women by and large are not the ones following, like, these Instagram models and stuff like that. Like, yeah, we do here and there, but no, a lot of those people are men. And that just shows you the hypocrisy in men in general, because you see men of all races doing that today. Like, on one hand, they'll say women are too sexually liberated or they're too independent and blah blah blah, and complain about the quote unquote modern woman. But they literally created this environment because they used to complain that they had to pay all the bills, and they would be frustrated and stressed because they didn't have money. And I remember in the late 90s, early 2000s, black men used to say that they like white girls because black women didn't suck dick. Now black women be talking about sucking dick in their music videos. Now it's a problem. Now black women are hypersexual. Now they're complaining and calling black women 340s and calling us thoughts and stuff. But 20 years, 15 years ago, they were saying black women were prudish. And I think they was probably saying that in the 80s too. I think I heard that they were saying that black women were prudish and that we're too sexually chaste. So that's why they like white girls. But now when black women conformed and changed their image and put out a different mainstream image of ourselves, basically to cater to black men, because that's who controls hip hop and who honestly controls our image, unfortunately. But black women are taking the reins. But for like the past 30 years or so, black men have controlled black women's image, and we live in a patriarchal society, so it just is what it is. But luckily, because black women we are that girl, we're taking the reins back and refining our image. But I'm just saying, like, it was black men who put out that image of black women. It's black men who always be in their music, calling us bitches and hoes and scot and thoughts and skeezers. Like, all of these names should describe women, and these misogynistic names to describe women that they claim are not up to their standard or too sexual for them. Literally, all of these terms were created by black men to describe black women, because they don't come at Becky and Ling Ling and non-black Maria, because they'll come at Cardi B calling her a bitch, but you're not going to see them calling Selena Gomez a thought and a skis like they will do that to Cardi B. So they could sit up here and pretend like they can't tell a black person when they see one. They can. But anyway, you don't see them coming at other groups of women like that, but they come at black women with that bullshit, and they portray us in a nasty way and with our ass shaking. But then when it's time to portray somebody as the wife or the love interest or the baby mama, then all of a sudden they can't find a black woman. Like, and I'm not going to keep going on that tangent. I'm just saying, like, black men have definitely went out of their way to portray black women as basically skeezers and hoes, no matter, and black women have conformed to that image and that reputation, but now they're holding it against us and, basically bashing us for it. And we're getting the flack for it. And you even have other black women always talking about female rappers and saying they're tired of hearing black women female rappers talk about sex. Okay, well, that's what people are responding to. Like, they're gonna put out what people are responding to. If y'all go back to bop and stuff like Lauryn Hill and things like that, maybe they'll change. But until then, artists are gonna conform to what images people are responding to. It just is what it is. Music is business. Everybody has to eat out here. Okay, so it's like, if you have a problem with that, okay, then change public opinion. It is what it is. Don't hold that against black women. I'm not saying black women don't have any accountability to take in that regard, but it's the truth. And so don't try to come over here and call it fetishization just because you see some Turkish people trying to take a picture with black women. Like, no, that's ridiculous. Y'all really need to be the last people trying to accuse somebody of fetishizing black women, because y'all clearly do not know what fetishization is, and you don't know the true definition of fetishization or what it looks like, because then you wouldn't saying that, and then you'd actually be calling out the real fetishizers of black women. But of course y'all not gonna do that, because this is a black man worshiping culture, and y'all really don't care about black women. Y'all actually like black women being treated as mules and being sexually exploited. Y'all actually think that that's the black woman's place, that we're supposed to be the mules of society, and we're only good to pop out black little boys because they don't give a fuck about the girls. But literally they literally in the black community, they literally act like we're fucking human incubators. So it shouldn't surprise you that they're gonna stay quiet and stay on code about the way the black community fetishizes black women, and quiet about the fact that it has been black men that has done the most damage to the black woman's image in the past 50 years. And I love how people never talk about how, honestly, before the 60s and 70s, before America started to become more secular, the African American community was known for being like very good citizens. Like, we were known, like, and some people call it quote unquote respectability politics, and yes, some of it was respectability politics, but it was also our ancestors. Well, they're not really our ancestors, but they would be our grandparents basically, because that wasn't that long ago. But like that was basically that generation understanding that, you know, we have an image to uphold as Americans. Now we need to demand our respect, so we're gonna be mindful and be intentional about the image we're putting out about ourselves. That was the mindset that we had before. So we were actually, and that's why black men would say that we were too sexually chaste, because keep in mind, black men were probably saying the same. I know for a fact they were saying the same thing in the 1950s and the 40s that they were saying in the 90s, trying to say that black women are too sexually chaste, that we don't give head, all this stupid ignorant shit. They was probably saying the same thing when black women was in the 50s, you know, wearing heels and shit like that. Yet they now be saying that the modern woman is a problem. We need to go back to the 50s. Meanwhile, they was complaining in the 50s. But I'm just saying, like, there used to be a high standard we held to ourselves as black Americans, and that seems to not be going on anymore. But everybody wants to point fingers at the black woman and beat up on the black woman, and, you know, make it seem like we're at fault for the circumstance we're in, when really women are going to adapt to their environment, and they're going to do what they feel like they need to do to survive. So if a woman feels like she needs to be a stripper or a prostitute herself, or she needs to make very sexual music, there's probably a reason for that. Most women are not trying to do that just because they want to be wild and loose. No, women are responding to their environments. So yeah, keep that in mind. That's not saying women are followers, but that is how science works. So if you have an issue with this culture amongst black women, you change it, and you don't put out degeneracy against us and try to hold that against us and make us the victim of honestly an image that you put out that black women are just conforming to. It is what it is. And I know I went on a whole tangent. That's not really about the black woman in Turkey part, but I just wanted to go on a general like rant about the hypocritical nature of the black community's fetishization argument, and how I think it's so annoying that every time there's a video that goes viral of a black woman getting praised by non-black people or getting love from a non-black man, you got a whole bunch of fucking haters from the community coming in that comment section trying to rain on their parade, talking about fetishization and using all these shaming and guilt tripping tactics instead of just minding their own business. If you don't like to see these types of videos, if you think that their praise for her is performative, okay, keep scrolling, scroll along. Why do you have to hate? Oh yeah, because you're trying to bring down this woman's self-esteem, and you're trying to deter black women from looking past the walls of the so-called black community. But yeah, like a lot of non-white, non-black groups of men definitely find black women attractive. And a straight man is gonna find a beautiful woman attractive, period. Like, it just is what it is. Like, if you look at the high fashion modeling industries, there's a lot of different looks of women of color and black women in the modeling industry, and they view, you know, African women, particularly the women that look like, you know, the beautiful Nigerian, I think she's Ghanaian, yeah, the Ghanaian woman in the video in Istanbul. A lot of the women in the high fashion industry look like her, as well as, you know, other black women, multiracial women, light-skinned women, biracial women. Like, they view just, blackness and people of color as very attractive because we are. Like, and I know a lot of people feel like the word exotic or the term exotic is offensive. And I do understand why people view it as offensive. But also at the same time, I think that as black women, we should acknowledge that we are fucking exotic, period. Like, I'm not saying people should use it in a fetishization, weird type of way. And I don't want to hear non-black people using it in that way. But I'm just saying, like, this woman in Istanbul, Turkey, she is exotic. Like, look at all of them. They all, look the same. They got the same beige to white skin. Like, they all kind of look similar. She does look exotic and foreign to them. And that's why they're like, oh my God, this woman is beautiful, because she is beautiful. So not only is she a beautiful woman, but she's also has a level of exoticism. And you're not going to see somebody like her just walking around every day. And that's why the modeling industry really loves like African women and black women, especially with her build, because she has a very slender model-esque build. They really love them in the modeling world. And like recently, like I've been seeing a lot of dark-skinned black women in ads on TV, or in high fashion ads, in magazines. Like, we're definitely out here. We definitely getting that positive representation, as they say. Like, I definitely see it, and they definitely have been listening to what black women have saying that we want to see, and that shows you that the fashion industry agrees and sees our beauty for what it is too. So it's like, stop listening to these think pieces on TikTok and Twitter, these woe is me think pieces where people think that are trying to give you the idea that just because you're a black woman that you're automatically viewed as unattractive, because that's just not true. And I think that it's about time for the conversation to have a system update and update with the times, and see that that's just not what's going on. Like, this is not the early 90s where there's only like 5 or 6 black models, like Naomi, Tyra, Adult Weck, I think I'm pronouncing her name wrong, but you know what I'm talking about, the very beautiful Sudanese woman. You know who I'm talking about. She's one of my favorite models. She's from the 90s. She's part of the group of token group of black women that they had, like those 90s models. Tyra, Iman. She's from the 80s, but anyway, I'll get off track. But I'm just saying, like, before there were only like a handful of black models, but now there's a lot of African models, of Black American models, even Afro-Latina models, like a lot of different dark-skinned women from around the world, and even light-skinned black women, mixed women. It's a lot of us in the modeling industry now. Like, that's why they love Zendaya, because she has a real model-esque build too, and her stylist is actually, I think he's a black gay man, and he styles her really well. So they're really liking us in the modeling agency, in the high fashion industry right now. And that's more of an international market. Like, you're not really gonna see women that look like that so much marketed on American everyday TV, like in commercials and stuff. That's more of the high fashion realm. And so, I think that just shows that's been on a different level. Like, I'd rather see us up there, on the Prada runways and the Vogue, in the Vogue lines. I'd rather see us doing that than, in some rap video or in some little Old Navy commercial. Like, that's just me. Even though I'm happy that I do see us in mainstream TV, because I'm in a position now where I'm watching a lot of TV. And that's something I've noticed, like, so many diverse images of black women, a lot of dark-skinned black women, a lot of multiracial families, a lot of mixed women that have, like, a lot of, different unique phenotypes and stuff. Like, I just see a lot of diversity in TV now. I even see, like, East Asians and Indian people on TV, which is something you didn't used to see that much. I feel like Asian representation is definitely lacking in America. And I can definitely see, I feel like since the pandemic, like, they've really started to, like, be intentional about what type of people they're putting in their ads marketing. And I'm here for it. I don't care if it's pandering. I like seeing it. I like seeing the beautiful black and brown faces on the TV and on my ads and in my magazines. Like, period. But yeah, I definitely want to see more black, like, I'm encouraging more black women to start, like, going on Tumblr and, like, following these high fashion, pages and things like that, and seeing how many black women of all diverse shades and looks that you're gonna see in the fashion industry. And it's really beautiful and it's really nice. I think I'm gonna make a whole compilation. Let me know if y'all want me to make a compilation of, like, high fashion images of black women, like, from the last, like, couple years or so, because there's a lot of black models, a lot of black representation in the fashion industry, and that's more of an international thing. So that's another reason why I'm saying like it's really important for us to travel and, you know, see what all the world has to offer and how we're being represented in other parts of the world, you know, how people view us, you know, because of course in our communities we're looked at as, oh, everyday run the mill, you know, you're not special because there's a million other girls that look like you. And, you know, so they basically take our beauty for granted because they're used to seeing beautiful, you know, women with nice bodies all the time. So we're taken for granted within, you know, our own communities. So sometimes, you know, I really do like the term "go get celebrated" because that's a fact. And I think that this video was a great example of that. Like, I'm not saying that she should, you know, feel like, oh, she's going to be treated like this everywhere she goes, or that she's never going to have a negative experience or experience racism. I'm not saying that at all, over romanticizing it. I'm just saying, like, find spaces where you are, you know, praised and where you are looked at as beautiful and where you are getting a different experience than the one you might have had where you're from. That's all I'm saying. You know, have different experiences and have these experiences with people of different cultures and races on your own. Don't make assumptions or, you know, overthink like, oh, are they going to be racist to me? Are they not going to accept me? Are they going to give me a microaggression? Are they going to think I'm unattractive because, you know, I'm black or because I'm dark? You know, whatever it is, you know, lead with an open mind because stuff may not be as, you know, bleak as people try to make it seem all the time. There are a lot of people who are going to tell you things to make you fearful and to prevent you from going outside your comfort zone in your box. But, you know, you need to do that for yourself. And, of course, don't put yourself in a situation where you're not comfortable, but also make yourself susceptible and open to new experiences. That's something I definitely want to see more black women doing. And definitely, like, try to find the resources for black women that are for traveling because there are a lot out there. There's a huge network on YouTube of women who make content about black women traveling and even living abroad, house sitting, like all that good stuff, traveling with their kids, everything. So there's a lot of resources. So definitely tap into that if you are interested. I think it would definitely make a difference. And I definitely would love to hear about and see more black women that are young, you know, traveling in their 20s and, you know, getting to globetrot a little bit before starting their life, starting a family, you know, and you may never know. You might find that you like living in another country more than America. You know, in other countries, the process to have children and even universal preschool, all that stuff is different. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of opportunities in other countries, and you can always have a little place in America and maybe, you know, come back and, you know, go back and forth. You know what I mean? Like, other groups of people do that. Like, Europeans be globetrotting. They be living in America for a couple months, going back to their country. Asian people do that too. They be having a crib in China or Japan, then come back. You know, like, people do it. And I just want to see more black women being able to do that too, because we have the money, the resources, and the education, and we have that impact on the world that we can definitely do that. So that's why I really wanted to talk about this topic and, you know, combine it in with the beauty element and aspect of this as well.